Hello there everybody, eccentric billionaire turned lion tamer, Whya! Adam Cleary here, and I have walked my pretty little self all the way from Studio 2 in WhatCulture, all the way to Studio 1 in WhatCulture, because we've just finished watching All In, and wasn't that something? Yes, All In is now all in the can. That's the last play on words I'm going to do until the very end of the video. Pinky swears, and for a show where nobody really knew what to expect or what we were going to get, we got a whole lot. I mean, ostensibly it's an indie show, but with the size, the scale, the hype, the spectacle, the pomp, the ceremony of a major pay-per-view for, say, a WWE or a New Japan. It had wrestlers from everywhere, from loads of different promotions, from all over the world, all coming together in matches you wouldn't normally see. So it was either going to be a big mess of something good or an even bigger mess of something bad. Now, I don't normally start with the pre-show in these things because time and indeed life are perilously short, but this one is important to the rest of the card, so I'm going to include the over-budget Battle Royal we had as the second match of the pre-show, which Flip Gordon won. Yeah, about that. Like we all knew Flip Gordon was going to get on the show somehow. He'd been building this personal wave of expectation and excitement for himself, and he was going to host this whole viewing party in a car park over an hour away from the event. So all I can say is, hope you paid money for that. To see Flip Gordon, you got your money back. Anyway, trading standards to one side, the Battle Royal was pretty much what we expected from these indie show banter Battle Royals that you get. Just loads of random wrestlers you would never ever see in a ring together. Some who are at the start of their careers, some who are at the very end, all doing their bits and their spots and having a lot of fun. It was a complete mess, but it was fun. And what it did, in a way that the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal has never actually managed to do, was set the tone for the entire evening. Flip Gordon's appearance as this random masked luchador who we all thought had already been eliminated got a nuclear, I'm so tired I can't say nuclear pop from the crowd, and it was a surprise, and it was fun, and it was joyous, and it gave us what we wanted in a way we weren't expecting to get it. That's good booking. Starting the show properly though, when we got Matt Cross versus MJF, who I'll hold my hands up on not two wrestlers I was overly familiar with, and this really felt like opening the show with it was the major misstep of the evening. But I'll tell you why they did it. Alright, so if working on, I think something like 20 to 30 WCPW/Defiant shows over the years has taught me one thing, it's that live broadcasts are a nightmare. Now, while I'm sure they would have hired in all the right people to make this work first time, and Fight TV are an incredible service provider, things still go wrong, and a lot of the people who have been working on this show will not have done this before, so there was always a chance they were going to go live on the stream and nothing would have worked. We've been there. We've literally done a WCPW show where everything's ready, everything's set, you go live, and nothing happens. So, by opening with an unannounced match featuring two people who weren't even advertised for the show, they knew that they were guaranteed to be starting with something that nobody was going to get too angry about potentially missing. It felt like a flat way to start, but if everything had gone wrong with the broadcast, they wouldn't have been getting people demanding refunds because, and with all due respect to them, that's not the match they'd come to watch. If they'd opened with Cody versus Nick Aldous, which had been rumoured and nothing worked, people would have been like, well, I paid money for this, where's my match? But then after that, we got onto the show proper and we got Christopher Daniels versus Stephen Amell. Yes, him from Arrow. Now, this was genuinely really quite good, I think, despite some rather obvious botches. Your man Daniels doing his best moonsault in the whole world off the top rope and connecting with about that much of the top of his head to Amell's waist, and then them both still trying to sell it as if he'd absolutely planted the lad. Now, to be fair to Amell, he's not a wrestler. I mean, he's done a lot of training, but he's not a wrestler. This isn't his job. And to get away with it, to get as much out of that match as they did, is really good. I throw to close personal friend and top shagger Adam Pacitti for this one when he said he fully expected Daniels to be absolutely carrying this match, but when you watched it back, Amell more than held his own. The guy has come a million miles from that tag match he had in WWE where basically Neville, Barrett and Cody just dragged him through an interesting segment. He is in his own right now a genuine ring presence, and I hope to see some more of him. The women's match next, and Tessa Blanchard walked out victorious against Chelsea Green, Britt Baker and Madison Rayne in what was simultaneously one of the most predictable results of the night, but also, because there was four of them, the most surprising. There had been some quiet accusations of tokenism going into this, like, oh, let's just grab a load of women, throw them into one match, and nobody can say we didn't have them on the card, but they more than held their own, and given the, like, it's a weird spot that on the card, like second or third out, it can be quite important. So to put them there was a big show of trust. There were some slight problems with this. There were some sloppy bits here and there. A lot of the sequences didn't quite work, and the finish itself might well have been a botch. But in between all that, which sounds bad, but actually isn't, it was a really, really, really good contest. All four of them put their bodies on the line, came up with very inventive sequences, and yeah, Blanchard's a star, man. She could dominate the women's indie scene forever. But the show really started with Cody Rhodes taking on Nick Aldous for the NWA World's Heavyweight title. Cody came down with an entourage of Diamond Dallas Page, Tommy Dreamer, and Brandy Rhodes dressed as Britney Spears from the Toxic video. And just in that moment, it no longer felt like we were at some independent wrestling show. It felt like we were at something historic. This was the first time in the night where the sense of spectacle, the sense of occasion, even the scope of the crowd really hit home. Just going to point this little thing out for you because it's dawned on me, and yeah, kind of hit home quite strongly. Neither you nor I will ever be as over as Cody Rhodes' dog. Let that sink in. Getting on for the match itself though, rather than my looming, dooming, creeping personality crisis, and it felt, I hesitate to use the term overbooked for a match that was 20 minutes long, but I think the best way to describe it was, in the context of the show and the performers they had on it, Cody and Nick must have known that they weren't the strongest workers. They weren't going to have the best technical match by any stretch of the imagination. So what they tried to do instead was just stuff it full of brilliant wrestling moments. Like, effectively with the massive entourages they had, the interference spots, they ran. DDP can still hit a diamond cutter. Who knew the horrendous blading spot from Cody, which, Jesus goddamn Christ, I wish I bled a bit more when I bleached my hair, because that looks absolutely sick. And then the Brandy getting the elbow drop to protect Cody thing. They drew so much more out of this match than the two men themselves would have been capable of delivering. And the moment at the end where Cody wins his dad's title after like 39 years was... That's why you come to these shows. Moments like that. A little tear in my eye. After that, we got Hangman Page defeating Joey Janela, but of course, if you saw it, that match was, well, it was way more than just the result, wasn't it? We got... Oh, where do I even start? Alright, so I'll be honest, I hadn't seen all that much of Hangman Page before this year, but what I'm told is he has developed, he has improved, arguably more than anybody else in this kind of spot anywhere in the world. Like, he's had a better ascending year than pretty much everybody bar Ronda Rousey, I'm told. And this match apparently absolutely proves it. It was an absolute show stealer. The spots, the brutality, the narrative, the storyline, Joey Ryan's death and Joey Ryan's subsequent immortal penis, the bag with the shoes in, and then the phone, and then the table, and then the ladder, and then Christ almighty. This was the match where you realised, bloody hell, they're actually going to pull this off, aren't they? Next, we had Jay Lethal defending the Ring of... I can't even talk about this next match. They had an 8-person strong procession of inflatable penis men. They had dead Joey Ryan covered in blood getting an immortal erection. Like, if you've got a friend who doesn't watch wrestling and you show them that, where do you even start with it? Do you actually explain the backstory, or do you just sit them down and go, hey, watch this, there's loads of dicks, deal with it? But yeah, alright, fine, we got Jay Lethal defending the Ring of Honor title against Flip Gordon, who won the Battle Royal earlier in the match, and it was, what was it? It was exactly what the show needed at that point. Like, can you imagine sitting Jay Lethal down and saying, right mate, you and Flip, you're on just after Paige and Janela, and yeah, there's going to be inflatable dicks and brutality, so can you guys just try and follow that as best you can? Well, they did, actually, to be fair. Their response was, let's do loads of Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan stuff, and that just... It so perfectly contrasted the brutality of that match, while simultaneously still styling out and following on from the comedy. They deserve medals for that. Actual big, shiny medals saying we followed the Joey Ryan resurrected penis angle with a good match that made sense in the context of the show. Medals. Medals! They deserve medals. Anyway, yes, after chopping and changing between Black Machismo, never sure how you pronounce that one because I always get it confused with the Italian central midfielder. You know the one, used to play for Juventus. Jay Lethal won, retaining the Ring of Honor title and bringing to an end this lovely story Flip Gordon had about wanting to be in the show. So far, at this point of All In, you're actually starting to think you've got something special on your hands. Not just, oh, they're going to do it, they're going to put on a good show, they're going to prove you can do these shows. It actually started to feel at this point that we were witnessing something very, very important. Penises aside. Next. Oh my f***ing Christ. We got Kenny Omega versus Penta El Zero in a match I can only describe as a walking advertisement for taking proper care of your neck. I mean, let's face it, on a banter card full of banter matches, this was the absolute banter spectacle. Kenny Omega, the most important figure, arguably, in New Japan over the last few years, versus Penta, one of the most important figures, arguably, in Mexican wrestling of the last few years. This match just... no reason to put them together. It's just what you do on indie shows. Who can we get? Oh, we can get Kenny Omega. Oh, who else can we get that would be a fun match that people would like to see? Penta. That's just magic. Jam sandwiches is what you make when you have that. And they did. And in the proper indie promotion spirit of booking, we also got the proper indie promotion spirit of very nearly killing each other a number of different times. Basically, it started with Penta doing a pile driver on the ring apron, the hardest part of the ring, let us not forget, and then going, well, that didn't put you away, you've kicked out of that, so how do we raise the stakes from there? What can we do? If I've already dropped you on your head here, what can we do? And the answer was, let's just keep dropping each other on the top of our heads. 1, 2, 3. Kenny Omega won, but in reality, the fact that they both walked away from that match with apparently no issues whatsoever is a victory in of itself, in my opinion. That was so hard to watch at points. Just your head and then your neck, and they're really important, those bits. I'd be nothing without mine. And just boom, bang, skadoosh. Brutal. Then, as if that wasn't enough, we then got my personal match of the night, although we've all disagreed about this loads in the office, as Okada beat Marty Scurll in a match that started, and you're like, oh, getting on a bit this, can you pin him quickly? Can we just get a few nice spots and then just, come on guys, wrap this up? And then 22 minutes later, I was like, please God, do not let this match ever end. I am addicted to it. Basically, the core ingredients you have in this match are two excellent wrestlers caught in the midst of brilliant contrasting gimmicks. Okada's still in the middle of this whole broken Rainmaker sort of thing. He's got a bit of a cheeky smile. He's trying to rediscover his intensity, but he needs the belt to do it. And Marty Scurll's gimmick is just probably one of the best gimmicks of the last 4 or 5 years. The villain. And they're exact opposites of each other. One is pure confidence, pure arrogance, pure evil, and the other is just pure hope, pure spirit, pure belief. And you put them together and bloody hell. I was convinced 4 times in this match that we were witnessing the finish, and every single time I thought, me, that's a really, really, really good finish, and then it wasn't. And then the next time I was like, me, this is an even better finish than the one I thought was the finish. And then when the actual finish came, I was like, I'm spent. I need to shower and smoke and never speak to these two wrestlers again. Also, where are my clothes? I'm leaving. In fact, whisper it, but I actually think this match was so good that New Japan will be absolutely kicking themselves that they've allowed it to happen in this isolation of a one-off show instead of building a story around it themselves and doing it at a pay-per-view some way down the line. Like, that's how good this match was. I'm convinced there should be a story behind it as a result. You know how you normally do the story then the match. This match was so good, it now necessitates a story. It's just science. And finally, your main event of the evening was the 6-man tag match between the Young Bucks and Kota Ibushi, aka the Golden Elite, versus Rey Fenix, Rey Mysterio, and Bandito, aka the top Mexican lads. El Topo Lads de Mexicano. Now, this was the undeniable star attraction of the evening, if not necessarily the star match. There was simply no way they were going to successfully follow Okada, Scurll, and Omega Penta, but it doesn't matter, does it? Because the Young Bucks are in it, and Rey Mysterio's in it, and that's what you come to see. Ultimately, though, this was super duper fun with some incredible, eye-watering, spectacular, high-flying, leapy, jumpy, spinny, flippy, smacky down on the top of your head son spots, which was exactly what we thought we were going to get based on the raw ingredients. But more than that, I'm just going to say it. It's It's a shame. Mysterio should be this entertaining in a way that we can see it like almost every week. He's still got it. Like I know he's getting on in years, but every time you watch him come back, he's excellent. He was brilliant when we had him in the World Cup. He was fantastic in his brief Royal Rumble spot. He was amazing here. The guy could easily go on a regular basis, and you just watch these one-off appearances. And on the one hand, you're like, yay, Rey Mysterio's being amazing with this young talent. Look how on a par with the Young Bucks he still feels. And then you're like, I'm not going to see him for months though now. Is that one cool relative you like? You got aunties and uncles who come over all the time you can't stand. There's that one cousin who you get on really well with. And he comes over your birthday, Christmas, maybe once in the summer. And that's it. He goes, why have I got to put up with these relatives when I've got him? Ray, come back. And yes, in the end, the Golden Elite picked up the win after doing the whole Melter Driver thing onto Bandito. I think it was Bandito anyway. I was screaming at the screen at this point, so I can't really remember. Good God, please forgive me. But the actual finish felt to me quite rushed. Like it came almost out of nowhere after a sequence you would expect to see in the middle of the match. That happened, and then they just went straight to the finish. And amazingly, that finish happened to coincide with the show reaching its designated finish time with about a minute to go. We've since learned that was a 20-minute match condensed down into 10 in order for them not to be cut off on their broadcasting time. Again, as someone who's worked on these shows where things always tend to go wrong, finishing a 4-hour show bang on time, according to the Jacksons, with 3 seconds to spare, is deserving of all this clapping I'm going to stand here and awkwardly do now. So that all begs the question then, what was All In? Because I mean, like I say, it was a good wrestling show. Like I say, it was a great wrestling show, but that doesn't even begin to tell you the story. Nobody knew what to expect from this. It was a complete shot in the dark. This kind of show on this kind of level hadn't been attempted without the backing of WWE. 20 years? 25 years? Some places say this is the biggest independent wrestling show since 93. Some say 99. Some say even older than that. But either way, a long goddamn time. What we got was a wrestling show by whatever definition you care to give that. This tonight, All In, is what wrestling is. We got dream matches we never thought we'd see. We got legendary performers of the business. We got emerging new talent. We got this ridiculous concept pieces. We got decades-long narratives. We got these mind-bending spots. We got feats of incredible technical wrestling, and we got giant inflatable penises. Whatever it is you like about wrestling, it was here. Like, they weren't worried about not doing one thing for getting labeled, oh, that's just what it was. They did everything tonight. They did the amazing and the stupid. They did the unbelievable and the reassuringly predictable. They did the new and the old. They did the traditional and the modern. They did every single thing people love about wrestling because it was made by people who absolutely love wrestling. Cody Rhodes he's a business genius. He's got a great marketing mind, but he's not a businessman. He's a wrestler. After his match, he apparently spent most of the night in Gorilla. This was wrestling made by wrestling fans for wrestling fans. There was no cynicism to it whatsoever. Like every single thing that was on that show tonight could so easily happen in a WWE ring, but it just never ever would. They would never try and re-elevate an old title because there's a 40-year-old story behind it. They would never let Cody blade like that. They would never put those kind of matchups together because it just doesn't make long-term financial sense. They would never ever let someone like Flip Gordon go over in the way that he did. They would never ever have 8 inflatable penises carry a very serious wrestler backstage after having brought another penis back from the dead. But it was here. All of it. It was all in. But hey, you know the drill by now. It's 5 a.m. I'm absolutely hysterical. I need to go to bed. So this might all be a complete load of rubbish. Let me know what you made of it all in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter somewhere around here, and WhatCulture on Twitter somewhere around here as well. But in the meantime, thank you very much for watching, especially if you joined us on our live stream for an indie show. Christ, those were some good numbers. In the meantime, I have, of course, been Adam Cleary, AWO for life, and I'll see you soon.